Ah, there we go. Hello everybody and welcome back. Another Hippie Dota cast. Sorry I missed Friday. Basically came down to I couldn't really talk, so I kinda had to cancel. I was kinda straining past a bit of a lost voice on Wednesday, and by Friday it was just gone. I couldn't really talk above kind of a normal sort of level at best, and even that was kind of pushing it. So I didn't really think my voice would be up to casting for several hours that night. So I apologize for the lack of content, but we're back and this should be a great matchup. Pain Gaming versus Fnatic EU. I guess they are in fact just Fnatic because Fnatic NA has been disbanded and hasn't reformed yet. I believe they're still planning to reform it, but for now, this is the only Fnatic, still my favorite Dota team, so you'll have to apologize if there's a little bit of bias inherent in my casting, but Pain Gaming has impressed me. Again, every time I cast them, I mean, I haven't seen them knock out any big opponents, but they always put up a really good fight. No one just walks over them. Nobody just takes them like they're casuals. These guys are a good squad, and I'm excited to see them develop. So without further ado, let's get into the game. Looks like the draft happened in a previous game. We just had a remake and all pick once the servers were done. So nothing... We don't get to go through the fun of watching each individual draft and listening to me say the same things, as always. We did, in fact, however, this is after the 7.7c parity patch, so Keeper of the Light is slightly nerfed, Nyx Assassin is slightly nerfed. We see both of them making it past the banning stage and into the main pools. So, that's one possible effect that came through. And, of course, a couple of other nerfs as well. No Phantom Lancer nerf, a lot of people were expecting that. I'm expecting that in 6.78. for a little bit of a tweak to him, but we might find that if Keeper of the Light is slightly less powerful, then maybe Phantom Lancer won't be picked up quite as much because it'll be harder to get him farmed if he doesn't have that Keeper babysitting him in the short lane. We'll see how it turns out. We do see a Tidehunter on Fnatic, which is probably the only hero in this pool that I'd call somewhat uncommon. You generally don't see him. You see... teams tend to favor Enigma, well, Puck, not Enigma even as much either. Puck a lot for your AoE initiation. Magnus if you can get him, Darkseer if you can get him, but they're very, very high tier picks. So Fnatic has gone with they have very, very strong initiation with the Puck combined with the Tidehunter. We'll have to see how fast the Tidehunter can get 6 though, because from the lanes and what it's looking like it's going to be, I guess the Tidehunter will probably be doing all the pulling and soaking up the experience for that. Alright, very quickly, going to run through the teams. We have Hani playing Puck for Fnatic, Cinderin still standing in for Fly, who is offered, I believe, a military training course of some kind. Cinderin going to be playing Tidehunter, No-Tail on the Keeper of the Light, Era going to be playing that farming Phantom Lancer, and Trixie on our off-lane Druid. Moving over to Pain Gaming, we have Pada playing the Bane, Grent is going to be playing that Rubik, going to have a stand-in Saidao playing Gyrocopter. Don't Be Afraid, another stand-in playing Darkseer. I believe Pain is one of the teams that got kind of drained a little bit to form Rock's Kiss, but I could be wrong. And then Mano playing the Nyx Assassin, who it looks like will be mid.
30 seconds to showtime.
So we're going to have a leveling, ganking Nyx, no support Nyx in this game. I prefer it that way. Not everyone does. Looks like Trixie might be actually midding the Lone Druid, and maybe the Tidehunter... No, that doesn't make any sense. They have the Puck. So there's no way the Tidehunter is getting a solo lane when you have both Puck and Lone Druid, and you need the Phantom Lancer to be your farmer in the tri-lane. You can't afford to throw the Lone Druid in. So I really do think he's just going to be doing pulls right here, but we'll have to see how that plays out for him. Anchor Smash is useful, but he's gone for Gush level 1, which indicates that he's going to be doing a little more of a roaming and ganking thing. Maybe they're going to be dual midding? I don't know, maybe dual mid Lone Druid Tidehunter,
feeling this is gonna be good.
And offlane the Puck. I don't think so. I mean, they got Hani on the Puck for a reason. He's, you know, their premier mid player most of the time. They'll occasionally throw someone else there if it's a very specific hero that calls for it. But looks like we do have a little bit of a duel coming out here. Darkseer and Nyx hanging out together. That would be a little odd though. Darkseer probably just gonna move into the jungle. You're gonna sit kind of close. Just to, Keeper of the Light already charging up waves. They're trying to pressure this Nyx like crazy, make sure he doesn't get any experience. Cinderin and Hani putting damage out onto him, and the wave coming out from No-Tail to put the initial damage on. Damage was not nerfed, just the radius, so if you can still line it up, it's still just as painful. So yeah, I think they are going to be keeping Cinderin mid with Hani. This is unusual because both of these heroes you'd kind of really liked. Well, Tide doesn't need a hugely fast 6, he just needs to be 6 by the time there's kind of 2 to 3 man engagements happening at a more constant rate. Puck you want to be 6 ASAP because of the amount of gank power he puts out. So I'm still slightly concerned on this. And it looks like they're jungling the Druid. They don't even want to throw someone in that off lane. They feel as though that they will get... I mean, the tri-lane will contest too hard. There's no one they could put there that would actually be able to live and soak up XP. And they're better off just immediately putting that Druid down in the long lane. And that makes sense against a Bane specifically, because if you try to pull around with that bear, there's a reason he skills Nightmare first. Nightmare the bear, 4 seconds, creeps walk on past, and you don't get your little bear pull around, which pretty much kills all of the hero's power in terms of the off lane. Doing some nice creep clearing right here. Grent and Pata playing the Bane and the Rubik. Do a nice pull from here to here, all the way over to here. Make sure to deny all that experience and keep the lane pushed back far enough that side out doesn't have to farm under the tower. The experience denial, of course, not really a factor because there's no hero here, but keeping the lane pulled back is always a significant thing. Until you have enough farm that you feel comfortable pushing the... first of all, you feel comfortable farming over tower, so you're not, like, losing last hits. Well, actually, no. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. Oh, it looks like Hani's actually come down towards this bottom lane a little bit. No, what I'm saying doesn't actually make any sense. You don't need to worry about farming under the enemy tower. So it's kind of weird that they're pulling except to get the experience. But then in that case, why didn't they try to get a little experience out of this? I don't know. Maybe they're just using it as their final pull through. Regardless, it looks like they have... Fnatic has decided to shift Hani down here. Give Tidehunter, now that he's got a little bit of an advantage over Mano, perhaps, who is sitting at a level 3 Nyx, and you have also a level 3 Tide, and then also a level 3 Puck. So you got 2 level 3s against 1 level 3 originally. But now, Mano is going to be a little bit ahead. He's probably going to be able to put on a lot of mana burn pressure, because the Tidehunter, he won't lose a lot of mana per burn. It'll only be about 110 right now. But 110 out of 286 is going to hurt his laning presence a lot, and eventually he'll be able to throw out maybe one Anchor Smash every once in a while, and that will kill his lane presence, especially against a melee hero like Nyx, against whom that Anchor Smash is actually very significant harass, and makes it very hard for him to farm. But now, I mean, I don't see Synderen doing too well in this middle lane. We'll have to see if he can turn things around. Maybe he gets a gank. Maybe it's just me reading the lane incorrectly, but I really feel like Nyx Assassin should be dominating here. We have the Darks here just hanging out in top lane, trying to get something going up here. Just trying to steal maybe a couple creeps. Thought there was a side pull happening perhaps, but instead it was just a regular pull going on. And Era just getting his farm on, sitting at 22-7 against the 22-5 Gyrocopter, so even for all intents and purposes, since neither of them really needs to worry too much about denies. The Darkseer will occasionally get some farm, but, you know, there's a little... Oh, he doesn't have mana for that. He has mana for the Surge, but it's... Oh, it is level 2. Okay. I saw his low mana bar, I was like, oh, I can't Surge away. Then I checked, I'm like, no, he still has the 30 mana Surge costs, but is it only level 1? No, it's level 2. So, I got really excited for no reason there. But, oh well. And back to mid lane. Synderen still has mana. Mano looks like he's trying to save his mana a little more for it, make sure he has his stun in case he gets ganked, or his Carapace. Doesn't want to burn it all the way on mana burn. Oh, as I say that, he ticks up the mana for mana burn, burns Synderen down to nothing, and there goes Anchor Smash, which is Synderen's main farming and pushing ability. Does he have... Alright, he has a bottle, so he'll be doing a little better now. Nyx disconnect, instant pause coming out from Pain Gaming. We are just going to zoom right through this. There's nothing really significant for me to talk about, so there's not even a reason to delay. Nyx reconnects, go back to 1x, we'll see if maybe they unpause, maybe drag it up to 2x briefly, 4, there we go. Pain is ready. Is Fnatic? There we go. No Tail says go. We return to the game. Please excuse if there's still just a little hint of a rasp in my voice and if I occasionally need to cough. I do apologize, but I'm doing my best, and I didn't want to cancel another night's cast because I had a couple sniffles left over from when I got sick. I don't think that's really the best way to become a content creator, is you take every excuse to not make content. So now, Hani just sitting down here, still level 3, so being zoned out fairly hard against the level 5 Gyrocopter, and that's really frightening, because the thing is, against a lot of heroes, you can dodge a whole lot of nuke damage with the phase shift, but because Gyro's primary method of early game damage, which he's actually not leveling the Rocket Barrage, I guess, so it's not that huge, but his primary method of early game damage is generally the Rocket Barrage. It looks like they are going to be going on. Pata going to try and get in here before Hani manages to poof away, but no, quick phase shift, quick teleport to the orb right out of the shift, and he's just going to port right back to that bottom tower, having made them waste a little bit of mana and time, bring the supports into the lane. But he's not going to be having the best time here, and that's kind of significant for their mid-game impact. But I think Fnatic, basically, what they can do, because of the way they've made this lineup, once Puck gets 6, he's pretty useful in a team fight just because of Dream Coil. Dream Coil is a very powerful ability, and it can be very frustrating to play against, especially if you have very mobile heroes who need to, be getting around the battlefield a lot. Rubik, Darkseer, Gyrocopter, Nyx, these are all heroes who rely very, very heavily on positioning, and so Dream Coil really works very effectively against them. So as long as he has that available when team fights start, he's still pretty significant. And Waning Rift, of course, is awesome. It's a nice AoE silence with damage on top of it. Can't find many of those around anywhere. And excuse me for just a moment. Along with both the Tidehunter and the Keeper of the Light, they have a whole lot of good AoE presence and a nice combo they can set up between Dream Coil, between Ravage, and between just the Coddle nukes just blowing through the fight at every time. They have very, very powerful defensive, counter-initiation sort of engagement. They aren't going to want to go on anyone very early because they don't have the better early game lineup, but there's no way Pain is going to be able to deal with both a Lone Druid and a Phantom Lancer late game, barring a Rapier on that Gyrocopter. If it goes even until late, you have to assume that they're either farming a Rapier or they're losing. Oh, looks like Pada is going to try and chase Hani just a little bit. What does he have off cooldown? He only has the level 1 Nightmare, not actually going to burn it. Doesn't think he's going to get Rubik in range in time off of that 4-second disable, and probably not. Quick Orb is going to come out, just barely miss Pada, but give Hani a little bit of vision and hit those creeps down just a teeny bit. Very, very slow early game. Trixie now leading the last hit war, but since those are jungle creeps, he's probably not top on net worth. No, he's a little bit behind the two farming carries, the Gyrocopter and the Phantom Lancer both, but still doing well for himself. And Fnatic is definitely going to be very content to play this in a very patient sort of manner, so long as they're not seeing that Rapier happen. And even then, as long as they can kind of manage to hold the team fight off just a little bit, because Gyro, obviously, if he's going to go for a Rapier, especially against this team, he's really going to need a BKB first. So if they can just kind of hold until that BKB is over, which is not a perfect science for them, because they're really lacking in anti-BKB on their team. Basically, all they have is the Lone Druid Entangle. But, that's of course chance-based. They can't really get count on that bailing them out of bad situations. But if they can... What I'm trying to get at here is, if they can last through the BKB, they have plenty of ways to burn down that Gyrocopter, between Ravage, between Lone Druid, between Phantom Lancer, the nukes from Coddle, the lockdown from Puck, the silence to stop the Flak Cannon from just nuking everyone to death. There's a whole lot of good things they can do and try and get their hands on that Rapier if need be. Still very slow. No, I don't think there's been any lane movement going on. We might have Darkseer in a little bit of trouble here, but most likely he's actually just, unless the bear gets a lucky entangle, he's just going to surge himself right out of there. No Mana Leak available. You'd think maybe Mana Leak would have been grabbed, just 1 point in it, because Darkseer surging with Mana Leak, it's very, very strong against him in particular, simply because of the way it works. The further you move, the more mana you lose. Try and just run him out of mana, get him out of lane. Maybe force him to stop just a little bit so he doesn't take the Mana Leak stun. There goes the first blood. Looks like, once again, I missed the first blood. Beautiful. Looks like a call down happened right here. Finish off a Puck who had probably blinked right into the trees. Not too far off. And Nyx was actually coming down here to gank, it looks like, and now not going to get anyone. He has the Vendetta popped, but Cinderin and No-Tail just backing right up to the tower. They're not interested in engaging. They're just interested in, excuse me again, holding. With the Coddle Blast and the threat of a Ravage from this level 8 Tidehunter, I don't think Pain Game is going to feel particularly comfortable engaging that tower. So Fnatic does give up first blood, but at the same time, I don't think they're too concerned about letting a kill or two go just a couple times on throughout the course of the game. However, they have to be careful not to give too many to the Gyrocopter specifically. So, obviously, we've seen it a million times in a million different games. He can play very aggressively in the early game and then turn into a late-game monster simply thanks to Flak Cannon, where all his damage is being applied to your whole team at the same time. And when you're late game and you have those 6 auto attacks from Flak Cannon for free that are hitting everybody, it's kind of 6 attacks is enough to rip through a lot of underfarmed supports. If you've gotten several kills on the supports for him, he's a little bit ahead of everyone else, so he has some extra damage items, and the supports are a little bit behind because they've been dying to Call Down and Rocket Barrage. Hey, that's pretty significant right there. And when he has that kind of advantage, then he can basically just come out, flat cannon, fire on his main target, and the supports will either have to be so far away from the fight as to not be able to help, or dead. Looks like a Nightmare is going to come out on Cinderin. Rocket Barrage is going to be popped. Call Down is next. Is Cinderin going to burn the Ravage? It doesn't look like he wants to. Takes the missile, taking some more return damage. There goes the Ravage. Anchor Smash comes out, but the Fade Bolt, man, if he wanted to burn that Ravage, I feel like he should have burned it a lot sooner. He could have gotten both of them and put some distance between them, so maybe he would have been able to... He wouldn't have taken quite as many auto attacks during the course of his stun from that homing missile, which is a reasonably long stun at 1 point. It's 2.2 seconds. And that's, for a 1 point stun, very significant.
The Dire best do something about that bottom tower.
I really like the new illusion marker on the minimap. If you pay attention, you'll see that when Phantom Lancer spawns an illusion anywhere, it's like a black X with his color of as the outline of the X. It's pretty nifty. Did not used to be that way. See it? Right down there. It's pretty cool. So now 2 kills on the Gyrocopter, and he's farming up this very large stack. That's why they didn't want to farm this stack, because he just wanted to flat cannon it down once it was stacked up enough. And that's going to be quite a bit of extra gold heading the way of our Gyrocopter. How's his net worth doing right now? 5,300. So he's only about, 600 ahead of the Phantom Lancer. But, oh, Puck goes down again. Puck goes down again to a 3-man gank in the mid lane. Nyx Assassin and Darkseer both going to be here and bring him down, along with the Rubik who actually got the kill. And that is, that's not the start you want for your Puck, especially because, as I mentioned, he is level 6, so he does have the Dream Coil, but if he gets so under-leveled that Waning Rift doesn't have a particularly long silence on it, which is another... Silences are excellent defensive abilities, because basically what they're doing, I mean, silences and stuns, of course, stuns are locking your opponent out from doing anything, but silences are also locking your opponents out from using any of the more powerful abilities they've acquired because they're out-leveling you if you have to be playing defensively. So the fact that he's only level 6, only has 1 point in that, might really cost Fnatic in the mid-game, as Pain is going to be looking to put on a whole lot more pressure as things sort of transition, because they know they can't stand up to Phantom Lancer Lone Druid late game, and they know they have the advantage. So all they really have to worry about is making sure they don't get caught in that kind of Dream Coil Ravage combo. And if the Puck isn't putting out... Oh, Phantom Lance looks like he's getting gone on up here. He's going to go down to both Darkseer and Nyx Assassin. Once again, Nyx Assassin is making a lot of moves around this map, as is the Darkseer. Pain Gaming, the motion for them between lanes, doing very well. They've now picked off the Puck twice, very significant. The Tidehunter once, Tidehunter twice apparently. I saw his hit points dropping really quickly, couldn't get down here before they just went down. This is not looking like a good start for Fnatic. Their lanes felt awkward to me. The way they transitioned from a dual mid into a 3-1-1, or really a 2-1-1 because you have the Lone Druid farming the jungle, and the way they've lost several kills that if they were playing a little more carefully, or if they had laned this maybe a little better, I just am not a fan of the draft just because of the way it let their lanes go. And you can have the best draft in the world in terms of team fight synergy, in terms of late game, in terms of mid game power. If your lanes are bad and you get kind of beat out in the laning phase, you can fall so far behind as for it to the rest of your lineup's strength can become insignificant. We're not at that point, and actually it looks like XP has now evened out. Alright, it was favoring Fnatic at first because of the better farm they were getting between the lanes. The better split, excuse me. They were using all of the possible farm on the map more efficiently. It's basically, oh, Puck looks like he might be going down. He's getting dived on down here. Tidehunter is going to pick off Bane beforehand, but Puck is going to go down in return. Looks like Tidehunter just trying to chase into 3, kind of random. It's that Lone Druid and Keeper are here, but too late for Cinderin to get anything done with that Ravage. Has it sitting, but couldn't get in range to lock anyone down with it. Oh, here we go. We might have an engagement here. No, he's just going to back off again. He's got a missile coming in on him. I'm going to just take that well behind the tower. Oh, no, they're just going to bring it down with the bear and the tower, of course. That's a 3rd kill on this Puck, which is, again, he's underfarmed and very, very squishy. Puck does not have a good strength gain at all. It is 1.7, which is intensely low. There's very few heroes who actually have it that bad, and it's to compensate for the fact that through his abilities, he has a lot of ways to avoid death, and Phantom Lancer dies again! Pain just picking off everyone they need to, and they're not... I mean, you see 7 to 1, and you see, man, that's a pretty significant difference. Gyro gets a tower as well, or excuse me, denied a top tower as well. So that's a good step in the right direction. They've already picked off this top tower over here. But so basically, you see 7 to 1, you're like, man, that's a really significant advantage for one side. And it is, in the laning phase. A 7 to 1 advantage is quite a bit. It's more significant when you think about who all those kills have been on. Bringing up this real quick. First of all, 3 of those kills have gone the way of the Gyrocopter, which is significant. And then you have the Tidehunter with 2 deaths, the Phantom Lancer with 2 deaths, and the Puck with 3 deaths. Those, I mean, there's so many kind of impact heroes on Fnatic that no matter who dies, it's very important. And I think that's another kind of weakness of their draft. They have a lot of heroes who need both experience and some gold to be effective. So if they can turtle it out, they'll be fine in the end. But their early to mid game is really going to suffer from not having enough experience and gold to divvy up, really. Really sorry about me having... Oh, there goes the Dream Coil. Ravage is going to catch a couple. Gets stolen immediately by Grent. He did not get the Anchor Smash off. That's so significant. Puck does finish off Darkseer. And then the call down is popped offensively, but doesn't actually get anyone. Era trying to get away, being ticked down by the Ion Shell on the Nyx. He does have the dust on him. Nyx is going to get a little bit of damage. Does catch the stun. Puck is going to try to save him, but not quite enough. Cinderin comes in along with Hani. They get the Spike Carapace stun out on them. Looks like just a little bit... Oh, quick Coddle Blast by No Tail right there is gonna bring the Nyx Assassin down. Looks like Lone Druid still playing around a little bit. Got plenty of health to Strixie. His bear looks like he's about to go down, but he wants to chase that Gyrocopter. They know they need to make something happen on him, but they just don't have what they need. They don't have really the lockdown and chasing power unless that bear gets an entangle. Hani's already burned his Dream Coil. Cinderin has Ravaged, and that's with Phantom Lancer down, so they don't have the slow. That's pretty much all of their chasing power. Is a couple of ultimates with anything from a medium for Puck to a long cooldown on Tidehunters. So, and when you compare that to Pain Gaming, Rubik Telekinesis, Homing Missile, it may not be super reliable, but it'll catch someone in a chase because they have to turn around to try to deal with it. Nyx is an amazing chaser. Bane has Nightmare to hold people for a long time. Darkseer Surge is so significant. Any time that Fnatic is out of position, they can get punished so hard because there's not a good way for them to retreat against this team. Whereas Pain is getting away with a lot more than they should because Fnatic doesn't really have the chase to deal with it. If we look at the graphs real quick, the XP has swung back in favor of Fnatic. They've been splitting the farm more effectively. The gold is also in favor of Fnatic. That's odd to me. Let me look at the last hit and see if I can kind of suss that out. Oh, it's because they have the Lone Druid jungling, of course. Because they have the Lone Druid farming as much as the Phantom Lancer, if not more. He's the one making up a huge amount of the deficit because he's basically up there with the Phantom Lancers. They have 2 reasonably well-farmed carries to compare to the Gyro, who is like extra well-farmed at this point in the game. What does he have for items? Anything significant? He has his drum and almost his BKB, and it looks like Cinderin is going to be the next target. Quick stun is going to come out from the Spike Carapace on a No Tail, and nothing really he could have done. Keeper of the Light doesn't have a response to that. The only response between those 2 heroes they would have had was Ravage, and it was down for another 20 or so seconds when the gank happened, so Tide was just done, really. They kind of need to be bathing the map in sentries, but I'm not sure No Tail really has the money for it. He's trying to finish up his mech, which they do need as kind of a mid-game defensive item, and it could really swing some of these fights because there's a lot of kind of heavy burst initiation coming out from both the Nyx Assassin and the Gyrocopter call down, so that mech could be a huge mid-game fight swinger, don't get me wrong. But if you can't see the Nyx coming and you can't kind of bathe the map in sentries against him, you might end up having a bad time, and you're seeing a lot of people getting picked off by this Nyx, who is now 2-1-3, so he's been involved in 5 of his team's 9 kills. The only person more active than him is Rubik, who's 3-0-3. Looks like we do actually have Nyx getting chased. No, he's just actually hunting up here. They have no idea he's hanging around, but not interested in engaging onto the Lone Druid. 1750 HP. Gee, I can't imagine why Nyx doesn't want to engage that solo. No Tail and Cinderin pushing up this lane. Grant stealing the Anchor Smash, which is not the greatest ability for Rubik because he doesn't like to be right in the middle of everyone, but it's certainly not a bad one. It's perfectly good for helping him push out lanes. Between that and Fade Bolt, he can reduce a damage, a creep wave's damage by such a significant amount. 40% reduction from Anchor Smash, 16-point reduction from Fade Bolt. You may very well be able to reduce a creep to 0 with that. I'm actually curious. Melee creeps do 23, yeah. So the percent reduction plus the flat reduction will probably just reduce them to no damage, which is kind of funny. Era might be in trouble right here. There's an invisible Nyx who has Vendetta off cooldown as well. Level 2 Vendetta. Is he maybe going to initiate with the stun? He's a little deep in enemy territory. He might not feel particularly comfortable right now. Era just burned his Doppelwalk. Is he gonna sit around and wait? Maybe Era realized someone... Game Sense or something realized maybe Nyx is following me. I better just burn this Doppelwalk just to be careful. And that may very well have saved his life. Because with only 900 HP, I'm willing to bet Mano could have burned him down. And he's gone for a very squishy, kind of greedy sort of build right here, which I wouldn't have really expected out of a team that I feel like it should be playing much more defensively and much more safe in the early game. But Yasha and going straight for a Diffusal Blade, he's not going to have any HP for quite a while, and he's still gone Tranquils despite the nerf. Looks like we might have an engagement coming in here. No, they're just going to push. Just going to push. It looks like, actually, the rest of Fnatic is going to bail and maybe try to defend this mid tower as Era continues to just get some split push going in bottom lane. Ford has popped up. Porden is coming from Cinderin, who has his Ravage ready. Hani kind of needs to catch them and slow them down a little bit, though, if they want to actually get anything done here, but I don't think he's ever going to get in position for that Dream Coil. Pain not particularly interested in going... Oh, maybe they are. They get the vacuum off. Is Puck going to blink in? He's going to get that down. The call down is dealing a lot of damage to Trixie. There's the Ravage. Only catches 2. Not exactly what they wanted, and Grant steals it again! He steals it again, catches the Lone Druid, maybe. Yup, Lone Druid goes down. Coddle goes down. Cinderin on the Tidehunter goes down. Brutal, brutal turnaround. Grant playing a fantastic Rubik. Just basically being just barely out of range of the Tidehunter ult, but in range to steal with his own ultimate. So he doesn't... Cinderin doesn't actually have time to get off the Anchor Smash because it's getting stolen while he's in his kind of animation backswing from the Ravage. And that's just... Wow. Excellent, excellent Rubik play. And we've seen Brent be a superb Rubik before. But the fact that with only a Force Staff for positioning, and with no BKB or anything as kind of a fallback, he's been able to steal Ravage twice, and I believe it was consecutively. I think that was 2 Ravages in a row from Tidehunter that he stole and turned around with. That's some superb Rubik play right there. Man could put on a clinic. Side out, just farming up a little bit. Era did manage to push this bottom tower between himself and all his illusions while that was going on. But as much as it's going to create them a little bit of space and give them a little bit of map control, I think what they're losing constantly in exchange for these little, like, a little push like that, because the tier 1 was already down when he started that push. He basically got a tier 2 in exchange for 3 of his teammates, a couple of whom still need to be leveling up. Tidehunter is now level 11, so he's doing a little bit better. Puck's still level 10, so he doesn't have level 2 Dream Coil yet, which means the break damage isn't particularly significant. The stun isn't particularly fantastic. It's there, but it's not punishing nearly as hard as it could. You have... I mean, the Lone Druid is level 15. He's probably the saving grace of this team right now. It looks like Cinderin might just go down right here. Nyx has his Dagon. He's got Dagon, Mana Boots, Bottle. Done very, very well for himself. 315 at this point. Checking out net worth. Gyro sitting at a fat 12,000. I wonder if the graphs still favor Fnatic. No, there's the experience spike from that last team fight. You can see that just shoot up as soon as those 3 kills happen. Up to over 2,000 advantage. Almost 3,000 for Pain Gaming. And the gold, only a little bit over even for Pain Gaming, but with the fact that they've got... Oh, there's the Dream Coil. The wall is down to try and prevent any engagement coming in from Fnatic right here. And, yeah, they're just going to back off. They're not interested in fighting around that wall right now. Pod are going to take a lot of damage from that Coddle Blast, but no further engagement going to be used. The Wall of Replica is a bigger cooldown than the Dream Coil, but... excuse me once again. But at the same time, Pain Gaming can afford to kind of be using these long cooldowns because they have something besides their cooldowns to win team fights right now. They have just power in their heroes, especially in the Gyrocopter and the Nyx. Looks like Gyro is actually going to take bottom tower. Coddle is trying to push it back a little bit. Hani gonna push the creeps back some, but then just blink out. He knows that they've the rest of Pain Gaming has to be coming around. He had just been engaged with them in the river, so he knows better than to try and push out that way at all. Era trying to split push this top lane right now. He has Diffusal Blade and his Vitality Booster, so he's still getting his gold at a reasonably quick rate, despite the fact that he's got 3 deaths. He's got 160 creep kills. He's gotten himself a good tier 2 tower kill. Another tower deny coming out from Pain Gaming though right now. This has been a very, very dominant early game and mid game. And part of the problem, I mean, again, this is actually a team where if the lanes had gone even, I really think Fnatic would have had a huge, huge mid game advantage if they just played very, very safe. But I feel like, first of all, they're trying to play just a little more aggressive than they can, or at least they were. They're now playing very safe, sticking by towers. Oh, Cinderin might be the next one to go down, though. Ravage is going to go out from Grent, but not catch anyone. He's about to lose it anyway. Figured he may as well get it off. He has another spell steal ready. Bane is going to go down, so that's a lot of their disabling power taken down. Grent going to... Oh, Dream Coil burns to make sure Grent goes down. He is going to die, and there's a dominating streak turned around, and Puck gets 400 gold from that. Era trying to chase Aaron and Trixie, both chasing Mano, but he's going to get the port off successfully. So that was very, very good from Fnatic. Pain overextended just a little bit, chasing after Cinderin in this area, and all of Fnatic just sandwiched in on them to kill them, and they're going to take a free Roche off this. They know that without the Rubik and without the Bane, first of all, they're in a great position, because most of Pain Gaming is all the way across the map and can't get here quickly. Second of all, that's 2 particularly powerful teamfight heroes that they just picked off on that overextension, and they can kill it very fast with that lone druid, who has, let's see here, he's got his Armlet for his bear, he's got a Midas on his bear, and now an Aegis on himself. So Trixie going to be the Aegis carrier. Fnatic now just retreating. There's a lot of good warding going on from Pain Gaming. Nice deep wards, probably dropped down by Nyx Assassin, or possibly by just somebody who managed to get in there sneakily and drop those. But basically to allow them to get the Nyx in there, so the Nyx knows. He doesn't kind of have to use Vendetta to go on a fishing expedition and just kind of walk around the jungle hoping there's someone to gank. He'll know if someone's farming the safest camp in the entire jungle, which is that one right there. Possibly more safe as this, but the hard camp obviously much more significant, more likely to be farmed more often in the later game. Nyx has now picked up another recipe. What is that going to be? He's upgrading the Dagon, so we'll see if he just goes Dagon 2 or if he tries to take it all the way to Dagon 5. Dagon 5, my general feeling about Dagon 1 versus Dagon 5 is you could have a Dagon 5 or you could have a Dagon 1 and a Sheep Stick. And I know which of those I would always pick, but I don't know. Maybe not everyone prefers the extra disable over the extra 400 burst damage. And, of course, lower cooldown, lower mana cost, longer range, all that great stuff, but Sheep Stick. Nyx now roaming around invisible. No sentries still from No Tail coming out in this jungle, so it's really quite safe for him to be wandering around. I think Mano's playing a lot more cautiously than he needs to, because he doesn't realize there aren't any sentries up here. Now he's going to be looking around. He sees the bear, sees the druid. He might try to go on someone with that Dagon too, but I don't think so. Oh, now that he sees Era, maybe he'll try and get a quick stun off. No, he's just going to port out. Doesn't feel safe here at all. And Era's going to, you know, see him for just a second and say, wait a minute. And just say, oh, well, I guess he's gone now. Trixie has bought a Basher. Throws it right onto his bear. Puck is getting engaged upon here. Mano just barely misses the timing for that Impale, so that Puck is able to blink away coming out of that phase shift. Well played by Hani. Phase shift into blink, one of the best reasons to... First of all, one of the best reasons to buy a blink on Puck, because it's... The whole, like, oh, it's put on a 3-second cooldown if you get hit, means nothing to Puck because of phase shift. That's a 3.25 second invulnerability that you can just queue your blink dagger up out of. And then, of course, I mean, just he's already such an elusive hero, and also a positioning-reliant hero. So an item that both helps his positioning and gives him, you know, a more kind of elusive sort of power, still a good thing. Puck has gone Dagon. That's interesting. I guess the goal is to be able to burst down the gyrocopter, or burst down, you know, someone of import, maybe the Rubik. They might be particularly interested in bringing down, considering he's level 13, doing very, very well for himself, and has done a lot of work in these past couple team fights. But that's still weird to me that he's gone that route. Puck, because of his kind of mobile role, is usually very reliant on having a good regeneration item after he gets his Blink Dagger. Excuse me once again, everybody. And so getting him something that gives him, gives him a little bit of extra pull. It gives him 13 intelligence and then 3 all attributes, so 16 intel total. But at the same time, it's just a little less than what he needs, in my opinion. Because he wants to be able to stay out, stay mobile, keep spamming his abilities as long as possible. Because he can last so long, if he's able to just keep regenning up mana for his orb and his waning rift, it's always a plus. Oh, he might be in trouble right here, as he burns off his orb, but burns the phase shift and then a blink to get himself into the trees and out to safety. Grant tried to push stick himself up to scout him out, but since he blinked off to the side, it was a no-go. Grant probably could have gotten him if he had thought to push stick himself over to the side. Bear is going to be nightmared. No Tail going to pause the game. Something going wrong over on Fnatic's end, apparently. Speed it up. They say go. Game is restarting. Era summoned in by Keeper of the Light. Looks like Fnatic wants to make something happen down here. They know that there's a little bit of a... Actually, they can't really know that they have a numbers advantage down here. That the gyrocopter is actually sitting over here farming ancients. God, it's Butterfly already. So, Drum, Domhelm, BKB, Butterfly. That is a farmed copter. Almost 17,000 gold at 31.5 minutes. Very, very significant. And I'm a little worried that this Aegis is actually just going to time out on Trixie. They've bought a gem on him to help take some map control back, but they only have about a minute left. They might be able to take maybe a tier 1 with it, or a tier 2 with this still, but they're not going to be able to try and push anything more. And even then, I think the tier 2 is very risky. I don't think having an extra lone druid is going to win you that team fight. As powerful as he might be right now, when he's going to get up, everyone else on the team is going to be dead. So Fnatic's just going to happily let that Aegis time out. Probably wish they were in a position where they could actually do something with it, but they know better. Doing some counter warding with the gem, trying to get a little bit of map control back for them. Farming the enemy jungle as well. Whereas we have Pain kind of hanging around the mid lane, thinking, maybe they want to push this. I mean, it's a tier 2, it's looking vulnerable, the creeps were kind of pushed up, but Fnatic doesn't seem particularly interested. We have Hani coming down to farm the bottom lane here on the puck, and a couple heroes hanging around in the jungle, Cinderin and Trixie. And Era just going to be sitting here and farming top, trying to get his farm on, get to the point where he's just untouchable. Has his heart now, has heart and defusal, so he's going to be particularly hard to kill. Probably going to be going for a Manta next, finally finish that out of that Yasha. But, man, this is kind of weird, because Pain Gaming had this great advantage, and they were pressuring it really well. But then, looks like Nyx might be going in on Era, maybe? There's Bane Doppel walk happens a little too quickly, and they don't have any reveal to deal with that. But Pain they were pressing their advantage really nicely, and then they had that one overextension on Cinderin, they seemed to just get very timid about it. Now, Fnatic going to be trying to push the uphill. I mean, they've got the Battle Cry and the Armlet out on the Bear. Bear does get enfeebled, which is level 4, so that's 120 damage he's losing right there. That's pretty darn huge, all things considered. The Bear's swinging for a whopping total of 63 with all those debuffs and buffs combined. Not exactly where you want your Bear at the 34-minute mark. But Fnatic not ready to give this up. They want to maybe just slow siege, let Era push up the top lane, basically force Pain to focus enough attention on this bottom tower that Era can take a free tower in the top lane, which would be significant. And because they can basically siege it just with the Bear for now, they might be able to actually get this done. There's a lot of damage coming out on the Bear, but it's not going to be enough to actually bring him down. Obviously 2700 health, and there goes that top tower that I was talking about. So very, very quickly, Era manages to punish the fact that the rest of his team, because of the Lone Druid pretty much, can force Pain to play in this kind of bottom lane position, because if they don't put enough heroes down here to stop an all-out engagement, then they're just going to lose that tower after they lose the engagement. Coddle Nuke, also, of course, particularly good at pressuring. The fact that they can just pressure, they can kill off all the creeps, and then pressure the tower from a good range just by sitting the Lone Druid in back and having the Bear push it, makes them, it's a very, very safe sort of a siege. So, I mean, even though they're pushed up this far and they're like all the way in their opponent's base, it's still pretty safe play they're going with right there. Trixie going to get himself sent back to base, then ported back, brings his Bear back, and is just going to bring it back out once it's fully healed up. And it looks like they might be committing to trying to siege this tower down at this point. They might not be particularly interested in letting this drag too much. Maybe they're worried that the Gyrocopter will go for a rapier. He has 4,700 gold right now. And he's doing so well, and I don't think he's died. Looks like we have a porting coming for Era, so yeah, now Fnatic are committed to this. So let's see if they can actually get something done. That tower is very nearly dead. A couple more swipes from the Lone Druid Bear, and it will be. Especially if the Bane isn't quite in position to get the Enfeeble off. Didn't happen. So the Bear brings down that bottom tower. Lance comes in to try and harass people out. The Enfeeble is back on the Bear, so a lot of the siege damage is gone, but Eric can just build up those illusions, send them in as well. Again, a very safe sort of method of sieging. Sieging with all the actual heroes way out and back. All that diffusal damage is significant as well. The Bear, despite the fact that he's enfeebled, still swings at least for a few chunks of damage each time, prevent the regeneration from really going to work on this barracks. And just looks like Era's actually now brought himself to the mid lane. So the tower is down in bottom lane, the tier 3. The tier 2 in mid going to be the next target for Fnatic, get themselves a little bit more of a gold advantage. And a lot of what they're doing also is preventing Pain from being able to utilize a lot of map farms. So while you're thinking, oh, you know, they're going to lose some experience, they're going to lose some gold out on this, because Pain has to commit so many heroes to defending, it's not like they can have just a couple good defending heroes and then have carries off farming the rest of the map. No, all the lanes may be pushed up, but Pain can't take advantage of that because of the danger of the Lone Druid, the danger of the Phantom Lancer, and the power of the Keeper of the Light, and Fnatic just going to fall back, take a quick Roshan with all of these lanes pushed up, and maybe then they'll look to break that uphill and take the bottom racks. Oh, Era, is he in trouble? No, they're not going to catch him. He's just going to safely double walk out. Does Nyx have a gem? No. Oh, there's Era. Did you see him? I think he must have. But I think he's going to be checking that Roshan. They have to know that it's coming up. There's the Rosh. How fast can Fnatic bring it down? Can Pain Gaming get here in time to respond? They are in motion, but Fnatic do have a couple incredible Roshan Pit spells. There's all the Nyx! They caught the Nyx before anything could happen! That's a huge pickoff. All of Pain's best initiation is gone. There's the call down, but the Ravage, is he going to get the Anchor Smash off? No, the Ravage stolen again by Grant. Push sticks himself in, gets it off. Tons and tons of damage coming out from this Gyrocopter. Potta going to go down. Trixie is just booking it on this Lone Druid. Grant looks like he's going to be the next target of Era, but look at the chunks being taken out of Era by that Butterfly. Side out just hitting too darn hard to get anything done. Phantom Lancer down. Only Phantom Lancer and Tidehunter down. Trixie has managed to survive so far. Phantom Lancer buys back. Oh, Grant gets daggoned by the puck. Oh, I questioned the Dagon, but there you go. It's a Dagon too. What the heck is this? They must just try to be trying to focus very heavily on this Gyrocopter with that. But at the same time, it feels almost like they're ignoring him. He had almost no pressure put on him. There's the slow coming out from Era. Side out, not quite getting it away. Oh, this could be a huge pick-off if they manage to get him. The body blocks from the illusions. Huge. 580 gold for Era. They're going to go back, take this Roshan as quickly as humanly possible, and then now I think they'll be trying to break that base, especially if Gyrocopter, does he have buyback ready? He has to. Yeah, of course he does. He's sitting on 5,300 gold, for gosh sake. Back to net worth. And after that engagement, how is this sitting? So, XP back in favor of Fnatic and it's been reasonably tight for the entire game, which isn't how it's felt to me. It felt to me like Pain had such a big advantage. The gold hugely in favor of Fnatic now, so they're just making better use of the entire map. And I think Pain lost their window. I mean, at this point, what's on the Phantom Lancer? You have a Manta, a Diffusal, a Heart, and an Aegis. That is a farmed Lancer. And your Gyrocopter, without his, what is he? He's bought something, apparently, something on the Courier. There's the Relic. He's going for it. He knows that, in fact, he does need that at this point. He needs that Rapier to be able to deal with all these Phantom Lancer illusions, to be able to deal with the power of Fnatic's lineups. This game is far from over. A Rapier changes everything, especially on a Gyrocopter. As is, Eric can now just comfortably siege down this middle tower, while Trixie and the bunch start sieging down bottom. Which, of course, we see the Rax has regened its way up, but it'll go down very, very quickly if they get any sort of significant damage on. If there's just a second where that bear is not enfeebled, he'll be swinging for a whole lot of damage, although you just know that the second that bear shows his face every time, going to get enfeebled as quickly as possible. You can see Era just maneuvering his illusions to both farm. Oh, the bear gets stunned. Are they going to try to pick it off? The missile is coming out, but the bear's just going to run away. Bear is too fast for you. 522 with phase boots activated, 521 without. So, Only 1 unit below max move speed, even without phase boots. That's because bears are silly. Bear now has an Abyssal Blade, so he's swinging even harder than before and has that, you know, free stun. Actually, he doesn't because it costs 150 mana. Bears don't have mana. Entangle comes out on the next assassin, but Fnatic unable to capitalize on the positioning, and that's probably better for them. I think if they tried to push uphill just recklessly off of one lucky Entangle, they'd probably get kind of engulfed upon. They have to wait for a much better sort of positioning than that single Entangle would have given them, and get a whole lot more done, quite frankly. Although, then again, they have a decently significant advantage, so I don't know what I'm really talking about. They probably have the better 5-man as well. And it looks like Phantom Lancer has picked off the middle tower in the meantime. Mano going to immediately go down on that Nyx. Sideout trying to get something done. He has his Rapier now. He picked it up before this fight started. Trixie just getting wrecked. Cinderin comes in, tries to take Sideout. There's the Ravage stolen again. That's 4 Ravages in a row. Sideout, though, taking a lot of damage. He's going to go down. He's got the Rapier. He gets push-sticked away. Somebody killed him. He goes down. The Rapier's down. Don't be afraid sitting there. Not now. We have a Rapier Darkseer. Going to just surge his way away. Not going to risk committing to the rest of that fight. Rubik is brought back now. But the fact that he died, dropped the Rapier, and it was picked up by someone on his own team means it is not a free Rapier. He can't give it back. It has to be picked up by the other team for it to become a free Rapier. It is muted now on everyone but Darkseer and Fnatic's team. So they now have a Rapier Darkseer. They don't have a buyback on the Gyrocopter because he had to spend it on the Rapier for that kind of last-ditch thing. And that was just, I feel like he was just poor positioning. I mean, he didn't really need to be out in the middle here. The nice thing about Flat Cannon is because it has 1,000 range, you can very easily sit in the back and wail on their whole team with that Rapier. So Fnatic turns around a game, basically, I think, because Pain didn't press the advantage they had. They didn't play their kind of mid-game oriented ganking lineup as hard as they could have past maybe the 15-20 minute mark. They did very, very well for the first 15 minutes, but then it felt like they kind of just lost their steam and didn't go any further.
6 in a row.
Hani and that Dagon. I cannot believe that he went Dagon Puck. He went Dagon 5 Puck. I mean, is this... I don't know if this is like a build that he has or if this is just BM or what, but I can't believe I'm seeing it. Still, I'm surprised that Fnatic took this seemingly as effortlessly as they did past maybe the 25-30 minute mark. They got those pickoffs when Cinderin was getting chased. Sideout now trying to put damage out, but... Oh no, I was wrong. The Rapier can be traded back to Sideout. So... Oh, you know what it is? It doesn't become a free Rapier, but it was muted on Don't Be Afraid. Only the original owner gets it. So excuse me for misquoting mechanics right there. The original owner is the only one who can use it until it is picked up by an enemy. And so Sideout still has his Rapier, so game not over. Game not over. I was talking like it's done. It's not. There's still a Rapier, and it's still in control of Gyrocopter. So he has a chance for this. It has, however, become much more difficult because they have to win team fights basically with one person sitting back and defending a couple of lanes at this point. Also, Rubik, you may notice, when Rubik steals the Illuminate with the ultimate version, he doesn't have to keep channeling it. He doesn't need to be... There is no ult form. See, he can just create the image because he stole it while Keeper of the Light was in ultimate form. Interesting Rubik trivia. He seals the spell as is. It doesn't tend to revert. Puck dodges a stun, quickly turns around on a Mano and just destroys him. I don't know what he was thinking right there. I mean, Pata maybe trying to come in to help him out, but no, absolutely not. Not with Trixie and No Tail coming to back him up now. This, I mean, it's not over, but it looks bleak. 2 lanes pushed in is hard to deal with, even with a Rapier. Here's the damage coming out. Trying to put a little bit down. Does he have the Flat Cannon running? Can he get some damage out of the Hani, maybe? No. And here's Fnatic's entire lineup. They're not particularly interested in getting that that top racks. They just want to push in through the bottom lane. I'm not totally sure I agree with that. Against a Rapier, I'd rather you play safe. But maybe they feel they can just kill the Rapier carrier and take it.
Top towers taking hits.
That was a really pitiful vac wall. Basically, dropped a wall, vac'd, hit absolutely no one, and now just going to go down, and that's a huge part of your turtling power right now. Okay, there's the BKB. There's the call down. The Flat Cannon's coming out. It's hitting a whole lot of damage coming out. Cinderin goes down. He did not get off a Ravage. Immediately buys back. Puck picks off Bane in the back. Puck getting chased around up here. Aaron now has actually come top and is pushing. The engagement bottom almost feels like it was a sham. Rubik is going to go down. Sideout going to be putting out a lot of damage. There's the stun. Is Aaron going to go down? Another stun coming out. He doesn't have Doppelwalk mana. He's always Sideout going to get entangled at the last second. And the puck comes in. Oh my gosh. And don't be afraid, picks up the rapier again. It is in fact muted still. Damage is coming out now. Puck buys back after going down to the Nyx assassin. Mano gonna be, and Sideout has bought back as well. Has he gotten his rapier back? Yes, he has. But that's now 2 fights where they've basically given up the rapier. They haven't been able to get what they need out of it. Oh, he's going in again. Why is he going in? The Ravage was still up. He's gonna lose the rapier again, and there's no one there to pick it up for him. Who grabbed it? Trixie with a rapier now. Nobody. He didn't have a safety net there. And there's the GG coming out from Grant. That was just, man. For a team that was playing so together and so cohesive in the beginning of the game, it's really depressing to see what kind of happened to Pain Gaming, because I feel like they fell apart. They got a rapier at the last minute there while they still had all their Raxes up, and then it didn't matter because the Gyrocopter just kind of threw his life away a few times with the, with the rapier in his inventory. And I don't know if they're just not really in top form because they're playing with a bunch of stand-ins, which is probably part of it, but still. Stand-ins in pro-level games are always pro-level players. They don't just pick random people off of Reddit or off streams or something like that. So, disappointing. I was expecting more from the mid-game from them, and for them basically to end it before Phantom Lancer could get that farmed. But, as it stands, Fnatic takes game 1, moving on to game 2 of this best of 3. See you guys in a minute.